Shawn writes in his book that during one of these matches, he tweaked his knee and it swelled up. So he reaches out to Vince, who tells him to go see Dr. James Andrews, the famous surgeon who put Bo Jackson back together down in Birmingham, and I think has put together more WWE guys than most. And instead, Shawn opts to see his own doctor, who straight up tells him, "You'll never wrestle again because you don't have an ACL." Is that the way you remember that happening? That Vince wanted him to go see Dr. James Andrews and Shawn didn't do that?
Absolutely. You want to go see the best.
Right.
And you want to go see a sports orthopedic who understands our business and what it is that we do and understands athletes and their ability to recover. You go see a regular orthopedic that has no idea, what it is that we do and looks at like to a normal person, to an accountant, that tweaks his knee and has no ACL. Oh, you'll never be able to wrestle. Yeah, well, I wasn't planning on it, but you know what I mean? You need to go to the best. You need to go and see the absolute best in the industry. James Andrews was the best in the industry, still is.
So talk to me about how Vince receives this information. I mean, I assume Shawn calls and tells.
I think Shawn. I think Shawn called him, and then we got a call that night, just letting us know, hey, Shawn's got a knee injury, and we need to see, we need to be thinking about what we're going to do. But we didn't know. I still don't think that. We really had a good idea of what it was because sure, Shawn's got no ACL. I remember, and I just went through it, man, rotator cuff surgery. Okay. I will never forget 1987, 88, maybe, Eddie Gilbert tore his rotator cuff and the doctor told him, you'll never wrestle again.
Mm.
It depends on the doctor. It depends on the injury. It depends on the individual. But it's all in your recuperative powers. It's all in your rehab, and it's all in what you're willing to put into it, and having a doctor that has a true understanding of what it is that you do.
So, what's the normal protocol for talent relations in this era? When a talent tells Vince he's hurt, I'm just trying to figure out, is this just the relationship that Vince had with his champion at the time? Or
no, you got to understand, completely different time, man.
Era,
It's here. We didn't have a wellness policy.
Right.
You didn't even have physicians that traveled on the road at that time. So everybody had their own individual doctors. We had doctors that were there by the commission, but it was kind of hit or miss as to what exactly, those doctors, what their specialty was. So you had to depend on, the talent either going to their own doctors because they're the ones that are going to have to live with that. And we would help out, from the standpoint of like a James Andrews, call Jim and say, hey, we've got this guy that has an injury. Would you take a look at him? Because it wasn't that easy to get into Dr. Andrews back in the day.
Right.
I don't know that it still is anymore either, but Andrews Sports Medicine, it was you had to know somebody. And we felt that he was the best, and just you got to go with, hey, I don't want to go to Andrews. Okay, well, you don't have to, but really think that this is the right guy to see. Instead, he went to somebody else who gave him, the diagnosis that you'll never wrestle again.
So is this something that is like a 5-alarm panic button for, the office to figure out what the fuck are we going to do now? Or is Vince cool hand Luke and no big deal, we'll figure it out?
That's always the case. It's just, that's what we do. We figure it out. And you also, in the initial stages of an injury like that, in the initial stages of getting any kind of information like that, I think that anybody of sound mind, for the most part, there's a little bit of panic that runs through your veins.
Right.
Like, holy shit, man, what am I going to do with my life then? So you got to deal with that human being and their emotions and what they're feeling, and the fact that they're now wrestling with the fact that my career could be over. So you try to encourage them, give them a little time, and then encourage them to, look, how about you get a second opinion? How about you talk to somebody else? I don't know how, we don't know this doctor. You know this doctor from your mom's best friend recommending him, saying, my daughter dated this guy that became an orthopedic, and here's his card. Who knows? But go seek out, and that was.
And you're not saying that's really what happened. You're just saying hypothetical. It's not someone you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think it was someone. It wasn't someone Shawn knew.
Right.
Someone he just went to in San Antonio out of,
convenience.
They were in San Antonio, convenience.
Yeah.